go, pushing through the driving snow. He got on his horse, had to get away. Held his hand across his chest. A wounded man has no time to rest. It seems the valley did his part. You see, he got his mark. His fate is my fate. Tonight we ride. His fate is my fate. Tonight we ride.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I do my own credits, and I was not thinking for a split second. The actual song that you heard is from the West End Band. And if you go to MySpace/West End Band, you can not only get to hear that wonderful music, you can actually download it for free. Now, first of all, I want to start off by saying that I am your host and producer and creator of Humanity Matters, Albert Turcasso, and that I want to mention that last month I was doing my political show, and I said some things that were extremely harsh, or would appear to have been extremely harsh. Before we get to the real magic of this show, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages and from every universe, you're going to see live magic in less than a few minutes. Well, less than 5 or 6 minutes. You're going to see real magic performed live on Humanity Matters. But, ladies and gents, getting back down to the political back and forth. I made a statement last month that if it was up to me, the entire Republican Party would be out of business. They'd be gone. They'd be done. And as we know, the Republicans won a huge victory in the House and in governorships. In fact, our newly elected governor is a Republican. So one might think that because the Republicans are in charge, that suddenly I would retract my statement and cower like some of the Democrats are doing. America, Pittsburgh, PA residents, Pennsylvania residents, America, and for that matter, the globe. Albert Turcasso does not retract the truth. And it is not that I'm against the Republican Party. It is that I am against the Republican Party's policies. So I'm not going to retract that statement. I also made a statement about a certain hospital organization being a monopoly and a university and hospital being a monopoly. And I said that I don't cower to that monopoly. As a result, I had a direct consequence as a result because I offended people. Well, let me tell you something. For those people out there, make no mistake. That hospital is a monopoly. Now, that's the truth. Let me further state that as a result, if you looked in this week's paper, which I believe it was on November the 30th, there is an antitrust lawsuit between that hospital and another hospital that is being allowed to pursue. So in other words, allowed to continue. So when I said that hospital and university is a monopoly, it is. Now, there is one thing that I want to clarify, however. I think that the doctors and the employees of every one of those hospitals that is with that organization, these doctors are lifesavers. And many of the employees have dedicated their lives to saving lives and helping people. I was not attacking the doctors, nor was I attacking the employees or the families of people that work there. But I was attacking, quite frankly, people who had the audacity, ignorance, and quite frankly, delusion to somehow believe their self-importance superseded everybody else. I went to this event, and I was the only one in the media that showed up. Yet this event consisted of them being self-congratulatory, which they did help to save lives, and I agree that that's wonderful and you should celebrate it. But they were so wrapped up in their own self-congratulations and so conceited and arrogant that let me explain what happened here real quick. They essentially treated myself and Annette like they were royalty and we were riffraff or commoners. Let me tell you something. I don't care if you're the President of the United States, the Queen of England, or frankly, the Pope. If you are ignorant to me, Albert Tricasso, or anyone in my presence, I'm not going to sit there and accept it. You are not that great. You may be a trillionaire. You are not that great. The only one that can treat me like that is the Lord himself or an entity. And even if the Lord himself did that, I would not be pleased, and I would risk instantaneous death because I would let the Lord know I was not pleased. So you know what? To the people that was offended and thought I was personally attacking them, I was not. I was attacking these very ignorant actions. Now, let me say this to the people who actually committed this ignorant act. If you were unaware of it, then I forgive you. If you did it on purpose, I still forgive you. But let me tell you something. This is how it came off. I'm a media person. I may be on public access. I'm media. NBC, Channel 11 did not show up. Channel 2, Channel 4, nobody showed up. Not even the press. I showed up and was treated like dirt. So, maybe you were unaware of the fact that you did that. Maybe you were so caught up in your own celebration, you just didn't know. So I'll forgive you for that. But let me tell you, on a scale from 1 to 10, you know how they say first impressions last forever? You gave me a negative impression of you. And on a scale from 1 to 10, you were definitely a 7. I'm willing to forgive you, but to retract my statement about the Republican Party. I am not willing to retract my statement about your actions. I am not willing to deny that that organization is a monopoly. If that offends Americans, my fellow Pittsburghers, and you don't want to watch my show anymore, that's fine. But I'm about the truth and the American and the global way. That's the way it is. You get what you see. Now, again, to the nurses and the workers of all of these hospitals affiliated, I think you're wonderful. I think you're part of our domestic heroes. I have doctors who've saved my life and others, and Chris's and Annette's. So I am not attacking them in any way, shape, or form. But I guarantee you one thing, when anyone does something wrong to Albert Tricasso, they're going to know about it. With that, let me, apparently I got a call coming in. Sorry about that. I don't know why, but I did. I didn't answer it. But let me say something to President Barack Obama. Mr. President, your party lost a lot of seats in November. That is a fact. But it is also important to say to the American people that the Democrats that were considered progressive, of the progressive or liberal Democrats, only 3 of them in the entire nation lost. So, Mr. President, right now in the news, I see that you are possibly going to consider allowing these tax cuts to be permanent for even the super wealthy. Mr. President, if you move to the right and try to appease the Republicans, then you will be alienating millions of Americans that need you to be a leader, that need you to defend us when we need your help. So, Mr. President, I'm going to give you a prediction. I predict that if you, in fact, concede and go a little bit too far to the right, Mr. President, you will not be elected in 2012. Conversely, Mr. President, if you stand firm, like former President Bush stood up to the Democrats and he stood firm, he kept his integrity, he kept his core beliefs. They may have been wrong or they may have been right, depending on your thoughts. He did not back down. And I give that to former President Bush. He stood up for what he believed. I didn't agree with it, but I have to give him a commendation for that. He did not back down. Mr. President, if you lead, you will be reelected in 2012. In fact, if you lead, many of those Democrats will be back in office or new ones. But to the Democratic Party, if you decide to become Republican light, guess what, Democrats? In 2012, you're going to get your behinds kicked twice as bad as you did this year. So, Mr. President, stand firm. Mr. President, we will support you. And for the Republican Party, you need to go a little bit to the center. We need balance. Not every policy that the Republicans have is wrong. Not every policy. Not every policy that the Democrats have is correct. But let me tell all Democrats throughout the United States and all Republicans throughout the United States, I, Albert Tricasso, am committed to see you work for the American people. And if you do not, I, Albert Tricasso, am committed to get a brand new political party started in some way, manner, or form, and they will be known as the Rappers. Yeah, like hip-hop. We will become the Rappers. Stands for Real American Patriots Party. So, Democrats, be aware of the fact you're not going to play us anymore. Republicans, be aware of the fact you're not playing anymore. And for all politicians from the city of Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., be aware, I'm watching the good that you do, I'm watching the bad that you do. And unlike all of the other media outlets, and even on the internet, unlike all them, when you do something wrong, I'm going to tell Pittsburghers. And I'm going to tell Pennsylvanians. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell Americans. And while you're at it, through the internet, I'm going to tell the entire globe. So that's it for now on the political thing. But politicians, today we're going to have real magic. But for the Republican Party, let us see you create some real magic in D.C. How about instead of cutting Social Security, what you're planning on doing, cutting Medicare, what you're planning on doing? I got a better idea. How about you cut the amount of money that you give to Wall Street? How about you cut the amount of money that you give to the banks like Morgan Stanley? And how about you reduce the amount of the airplanes for wars and take maybe some of that $40 billion to help every American sitting at home in the United States? And maybe, just maybe, you can help the senior citizen sitting in North Side. Maybe, just maybe, you can help the senior citizen or the 20-year-old trying to go through college sitting in the South Side. Or maybe in Philadelphia, or maybe in, I don't know, Yuma, Arizona. How about you work for us? Because if you don't, we're going to get the rappers going, the Real American Patriots Party, and a bunch of Democrats are going to lose their jobs. Yes, I said we'll lose their jobs. And a bunch of Republicans will be smiling in 2010